Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to kind of get into talking about a question that I know a lot of people ask online all the time. I see it in a lot of different groups and forums and all that other stuff. So I'm hoping that this might clear up a couple of things. Unfortunately, the topic at hand, as you can tell by the title, is one that can vary from person to person very easily. And that being said, your car that you purchase, whether it is a Subaru, whether it's something else, might not be exactly like mine, or the pricing might not be exactly like mine, but this can give you a rough idea. Now, if you want, what I'd actually recommend is check out how to buy a new car if you are buying it new. A lot of the tactics can be used on purchasing a used car as well, but I am going to be releasing a video on that because some things do vary slightly between new and used. However, basically what I want to get across is that when you're purchasing a new car, the things that can affect it without even... What I want to get across is when you are purchasing a new car, something that a lot of people don't think of is your location can affect it. If you live in Florida or you live in the Northeast, that might vary a little bit because the car might not be as popular. Exhibit A, an all-wheel drive car is not necessarily going to be as popular in Florida as it is up north because you don't need all-wheel drive down there, or out west or something like that. So a lot of things come into play. How much you're putting down, what your trade value is. Are you upside down on your trade? What's your interest rate on the car that you're purchasing? Everything like that. So many things can come into play. But if you're in a similar boat that I was in, then you'll be able to kind of understand what your pricing might be. And I'm gonna, full disclosure, I'll tell you everything because I want everybody to kind of be able to figure out exactly what they'll be paying, and again, just a bit of a rough idea so that you can figure out, okay, is this something that I can do? Is this something I should wait to do? Should I look at a different model? So without any further ado, let's jump into it. So basically, I bought this car 3 years ago. I bought it brand new in 2017. It actually had to be ordered by Subaru because the dealership I bought it from didn't have a white one, and any of the other dealerships that had white ones, they were all used. So I was like, I don't want to use one, I want a new one. So I went down, I placed my order, and it took 3 months. Now obviously, all the negotiation was done prior to the order. Dealerships won't order cars for you until you've settled on an agreement. You don't sign any of the actual paperwork, you just sign the preliminary stuff stating, okay, I left a deposit for this, and this is what my price is going to be, and nothing is supposed to change between the time it's ordered and the time you pick it up. So the way it worked out was I was trading in, as a lot of you have heard about, my previous car, the Scion FRS. That car I owed some money on. However, I was not upside down in the payments. I actually had positive equity, which is what made all of this a lot easier. When you have negative equity, even if it's just a small amount, a couple $1,000s, that can drastically impact your payments. So the way to look at it is that for pretty much every $1,000 that you add or take away to the final price of the car is about $20 to $25 for the monthly payment. So if your car is $10,000 and your payments, these are just random numbers, $10,000 and $100 a month, if you put $1,000 down, now you're paying for $9,000 over the course of the loan. Your payments are going to go to $80 a month. So I'm hoping that makes sense. But basically what I did was trade the car in. I had $2,000 positive equity in the car, and then I put $3,000 of my own money down onto it. So obviously a total of $5,000. So that being said, $5,000 went directly into the car. Now that was able to pay for all of the upfront costs, that being your tax, title, registration, documentation fees, everything like that. Those are roughly about $3,000 on pretty much every new car, within a pretty wide range, unless you're getting into like a supercar, then obviously your taxes are going to be a little bit higher. But for the most part, estimate to pay around $3,000, and quite honestly, for almost anything, depending on the price of the used car, you're close to $2,000 to $3,000. So after all that was said and done, we worked out the payments, everything like that. Basically how it ended up working out was the total price of the car was $36,000. So because I worked the taxes in. That's how it all looks on paper, but realistically they were paid for up front. So all in all, the price of the car was $36,015 was the sticker price on the car. I ordered it with basically nothing. I just wanted the STI. So once that price on those cars, $36,000 in 2017, I don't know if they fluctuated at all, was $36,015. Now, I took out a loan for 72 months. That loan, over the course of 72 months, equated out to $480 a month, with $5,000 down on that total amount. Even though the car had been discounted to $34,000, like I said, you add in the taxes, you add in everything else, that does raise the price of the car back up, because now you're still paying that extra couple $1,000s. So, and real quick on the discount of the car, I checked multiple dealerships. I don't know if anything has changed between now and then. Every single Subaru dealership that I went to said the lowest that Subaru would allow them to go was $34,000. Now, I've been in the car business a long time. I still think everybody's full of crap whenever they say anything about how much a car actually costs. But when you go to a bunch of when you go to 4 or 5 stores and they all tell you it's 34, without, that's it, after you negotiate with them for a little while, I'm kind of led to believe that they're 34. Both of my friends went out and bought STIs as well. They were both $34,000. So at this point, I'm kind of under the impression that it might actually be 34. Now, there are people that have purchased their cars for more. There are people that have purchased their cars for the same. And there are people that have purchased their cars for less. But again, after working the business for a long time, you realize that you can move numbers around. So they might have increased your trade and showed it on the new car to help you, make you a little happier. A lot of things they can do with that. But on paper, as far as I'm concerned, it was $34,000. If you can get better, by all means, I hope so, because $34,000 is a lot of money. It's nice to always get as much off as possible. But yeah, so the payments are $480 a month. I put a little bit extra every month. The reason I did 72 months was so that I could pay a little extra, and if for whatever reason something were to happen where I couldn't make the payment that I typically make that month, my payments would not be as expensive. They would be the $480. So that's something I recommend personally to a lot of people, that, yeah, if you can pay the car cash, great, go for it. If you can pay for the car, in 3 years, great, go for it. But it doesn't hurt to take the car out for a little bit longer, just in case something were to happen. I mean, during this time, we've had the pandemic with COVID-19 and the coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. So, thankfully I was still working during that time. I was able to make those payments, but for a lot of people I know, they were out of work, and something like that can happen, and now you're having trouble making payments. It's nice to know that you can make payments that are less without having to worry about that. Now, I also live in Massachusetts. There are no prepayment penalties, there's no prepayment penalties in Massachusetts, meaning I am allowed to legally pay more. I believe some states operate a little differently. Some states don't allow you to do that. Unfortunately, if that's the case, then that's how it is in your state or, country, wherever you live or anything like that. But for me, you can do that, so it's beneficial. My interest rate is 2.7% on the car. I have fairly good credit, so I was able to get a lower interest rate. Now, taking it out for 72 months impacted that interest rate a little bit. I believe it would have been closer to even if I had gone 60 months, but I wanted that little bit extra. You can always refinance. It's always an option as well. So these are just all things to consider when you're purchasing the car. I did go for the STI because at the time it was not that much more monthly. Basically, if I did the payments for 60 months on a WRX, which I was going with a premium because I wanted the extra stuff, if I wasn't getting the STI with the transmission and the center differential adjustments and the better all-wheel drive system, in my opinion, and everything else, then I wanted like the sunroof, and I wanted the nicer blacked out housing headlight. Yes, you can swap out the factory headlights if you'd like. I prefer OEM equipment for most things because, especially electronics, they tend to last a lot longer, they tend to work a lot better, so I was hoping to get that instead of having to swap them out eventually. But yeah, that's basically a wrap up of what it costs. You know, it's $480 a month for 72 months. Now I've been paying a little bit off a little bit extra every month for 3 years. I've lucked out with that. Haven't had any issues doing that. And I think I'm down to like, I think the last time I checked, I was down to like $17,000. So, you know, yes, it takes a little while to pay this stuff off. You know, that's a part of life. If you want to buy a car that's a little bit more money, it's going to take you a little longer to pay it off. But if you're financially stable and you're able to do it, go for it. And, you know, I hope that if you do want an STI, that this is helpful to you to help you figure out if it's a car that's feasible or if it's something that maybe you should put off for a little while. So let me know in the comments if this was helpful. I do want to do other videos like this, maybe on my friends' cars that have purchased, you know, newer cars and things like that. If they're willing to divulge that information, I think that would be helpful to other people, just so that everyone can get an idea. Now, obviously, if you lease, that's a big thing. I just want to touch on that briefly. Leasing is going to be drastically different. And I can get into a whole nother thing on leasing to buy and whatnot, but that's a whole nother video. So if you have any questions, also leave those in the comments. I do upload every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, so be tuning in for those other videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day. Scrooge out.